Minister is
Right.
their
Because basically
preference.
they worked exactly the problem that they had. One of the problems they had was not that the African people were uneducated or they were lazy. No, actually, one of the bigger underlying problems was that this factory was supposed to make glass, and because they import 100% of their glass from India. And so they thought it was a good idea. The Belgian government, who was sponsor of this project, thought it was a good idea that they would build a glass factory in Tanzania, because that would be a great opportunity to, instead of importing from India, to make it yourself and sell it there. So they made, of course, a very beautiful plan and looked at how many they imported and how much they could substitute, and that it would be a fantastic business opportunity. Then it was sponsored by the Belgian government, so it was just like with JICA, the Belgian government. They made a request for proposal and a tender, and the tender was obviously made in collaboration with Belgian companies who have experience in the glass industry. But that same tender would also guarantee, because it was written by the Belgians, that the Belgians would win it. Because that's what you do if you help to write a tender. You make the tender in a way that you make specific criteria in the tender that only you can fulfill. That's how it works. That's how it works in Belgium. That's how it works in Japan. Then, okay, so you win the tender, and that means that you will be the exclusive supplier to that project.
Oh, yeah.
So actually,
typical.
Everything was won by Belgian suppliers, and because they were the sole suppliers, they could actually raise the price to the extent that actually it would not be so much profitable for the Kenyans who would actually run the factory. So the project was already dead before the factories were even built, and the machines were brought to Tanzania. It was already dead on before arrival, but we can still see the factories there. We can still see the machines there, but the project was already failed before it even started.
Really? And maybe not only Belgium, many cases, including Japan. So, and Japanese case is a big difference among the other people. Is they will not prepare English material or English YouTube. Okay, even if they're going to make investment, or even if they're going to cooperate with Zambia, especially South, which one? South, I forgot that country. $250 GDP, the lowest country in the middle of Africa.
South Sudan, or?
South Sudan. Japanese government supported South Sudan for defense force, but also the agricultural issues, but no YouTube.
Well, Uno-san, I cannot tell too much about this, but I got a phone call on Christmas Day, maybe 7 years ago, from JICA. It was actually from JICA, but it was, and they were on site in, I think it was Bangladesh, and the equipment that Japan had provided, the project that they had provided, didn't have any output. There was they were not receiving any weather data.
Your former business.
Yeah. They didn't receive any data, and we needed to fix it immediately. I said, okay, well, but okay, this is December 25th. It's Christmas. It's not going to be so easy to get these people away from their work. I don't care. It needs to be fixed right now. So we started to work from early in the morning to see what the problem was. Then what we figured out, first of all, is that actually it was not just on that day. They had not been receiving weather data for more than 2 months. So what's the problem? How come that they have weather like they use weather for climate registration and everything, and the Japanese government invested literally no. So by the way, you cannot put this on YouTube.
Why they don't get the information?
What? Why they didn't get any information? So we figured it out later. So basically, they have not been receiving the weather data for more than 2 months. What was the problem? Because the communication infrastructure in Bangladesh is not so well developed. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have 3G and things like that. So what they use instead is that they collect data for maybe how much? I think it was about 3 hours, and then they collect all that data. They encrypt it. They put it in a code and send an SMS. That SMS is then being received, decoded, and put into the database. So that's to keep it affordable. You know what the problem was? They hadn't paid their bill. They hadn't paid for the SMS bundle.
What?
They didn't pay for the SMS bundle. It's just like
they don't pay. Huh?
Oh, no. So the telecom operator, just like AU or SoftBank, they stopped their service.
Oh, stop their service.
So, I mean, but it's ridiculous. So the SMS bundle maybe cost about, well, maybe $80 a month to run a weather station. And the Japanese government invested millions of dollars. And it was not run. But the point here is that, okay, so we put this weather station there. It's Japanese technology. It was an idea from the Japanese authorities to put that in. There were only Japanese companies involved in this project. And the people in Bangladesh who are actually doing the weather forecasting, they have this new system, but they have been doing weather forecasting for decades before. So they just kept doing what they were doing. They didn't even use the new equipment. They just used their existing equipment, and it was business as usual for them. So they just have a new tool, but they completely ignored it. And they went on to do the way that they normally do. So we spent millions, but all those millions were spent inside Japan because they were only a Japanese supplier. And then there's somewhere in Bangladesh there is a weather stations. There are weather stations that nobody actually uses. So it's ultimately the Japanese taxpayer who paid money for this. And nobody else benefits from it other than the companies, other than me.
No